Sheriff Manuel Gonzalez III, and I'm here to talk about the deputy-involved shooting last night that occurred at 1 a.m. today. And so one of our deputies was on proactive patrol in the area of 1612 Goff Southwest when he heard an alarm going off in an apartment complex very close to that proximity. The deputy then went to go do an investigation based on the car alarm that he had heard. He came in contact with some citizens that reside in the apartment complex, and they gave him some information that informed him that there's some vehicles being broken into. He made some observations and looked at the vehicle, and obviously one of the vehicle doors was open on the vehicle, and so he started to try to obtain suspect information on the incident. As he started getting information, he started putting out information to other units in the area, and they started to basically set up a perimeter to identify if there was any subject still in the area. As he gave more information, he started to look in the area, and eventually he started to do a field search for any possible suspects in the area, and then actually he came in contact with someone. A foot pursuit ensued, and the deputy eventually came in contact with the alleged offender of this incident. He started giving him verbal commands. The subject failed to comply with any of those verbal commands. As it started to escalate, and in the tapes that I heard, he continued to give those verbal commands, and the suspect continued to fail to comply with any of those commands. Became more threatening towards the deputy, and the suspect actually implied that he had a firearm with him and was threatening for the deputy to shoot him and to shoot the deputy. As this continued to go on, the deputy, as it started to escalate, was not getting compliance and discharged his taser at the suspect. The taser technology didn't work on this particular individual, and the deputy continued to try to get him to comply. Obviously, it was escalating verbally, and then a combative, violent interaction between the deputy and the suspect ensued. As the deputy tried to remain in control, he continued to ask the suspect to let him see his hands. He failed to comply, continued to imply that he had a weapon. Eventually, the deputy felt threatened, and whatever went on with the weapon that was there that the deputy had, the deputy actually had to stop his actions by firing his firearm, discharging it. The suspect was struck, and the deputies immediately rendered aid, attempting to save his life. The deputies requested an ambulance and rescue to be en route, and actually assisted with him getting services for his medical condition. He was transported to the University of New Mexico for treatment, and it appears that he is going to recover from the gunshot wounds. And at this point, we don't know all the specific details on all the information, because the deputies haven't been interviewed. Many deputies still need to be interviewed, and we're still waiting for that to happen, and hopefully that will happen in the next 48 hours. We are going to release the tape after the deputies have been interviewed of the incident to the media for their review. And at this point, the deputy is on administrative leave till further notice. And at this point, the offender's name won't be released till after the deputies have been interviewed also. So can I take any questions at this point?
What prompted the deputy specifically to shoot? The guy said he had a gun, but did he potentially reach for anything?
Well, you know what, there was no other firearms found on the scene, but there's always a firearm involved when law enforcement's there. So obviously we don't know exactly what took place with the deputies and this subject as he continued to aggress on the deputy, but at some point it rose to the level where he felt very threatened, and that's the way he felt that he could stop his actions.
You keep saying deputies. Was there just one deputy who fired his
Well, I'm saying deputies because there was multiple deputies on the scene.
Okay.
At this point, it's my understanding that only one deputy fired.
Okay. Did other deputies witness the shooting? Or
I believe so, and there is a tape, the belt tape, and that I just said earlier, after the deputies have been interviewed, we'll go ahead and release not only the tape to the media, but we'll also release the offender's name.
And you said the taser technology didn't work. Does that mean the taser misfired, or it just didn't affect it?
Well, I'm going to say it didn't work on this particular individual. It worked in the terms of being deployed, but didn't have the impact that may have on other people for whatever reasons.
Was this the suspect in the vehicle break-ins?
Apparently, at this point, they're still processing the scene. We don't have all the statements. Also, to add to that, there was a confirmed stolen vehicle in the same apartment complex. We don't know if the offender was in this vehicle or not because we haven't processed the scene that far. So we're waiting for further investigation and for the actual vehicle to be processed, whether we can confirm that it was in the commission of these crimes or not.
And we believe he's the suspect.
We believe he is a suspect.
Did the two actually physically fight? The suspect and the deputy?
According to the information and listening to the tapes, that's what we're believing right now.
Do you know how many shots were fired?
That, I don't have exact information, and based on the deputies not giving their statements, we will wait to give out that information, so we can give you accurate information.
What about how many times the suspect was struck?
That is unclear too, based on, well, I only have limited information in terms of his condition, and we're still waiting for the final, I guess, disposition from the hospital.
Do you know where the suspect was shot on his body?
And generally, I don't have that information. I didn't get that much detailed information. I know he was struck.
So at some point during this altercation, deputies had to flip the switch from having a violent incident to having to render aid. Do you think that aid that they rendered probably saved his life, or?
I would let's believe yes, that is true. You know, and that's the way they're trained. We're trained to be neutral and giving our services. And you can go from actually justifying your actions in terms of stopping something very violent, and then turn around and have to turn around and be the person that's actually rescuing and rendering aid to that person that life might be threatened.
And there are 2 deputy-involved shootings over the course of a few days through this month. Do you know how many your offices had this year? Any idea?
You know what, I don't, but I'm going to tell you a conversation I had with the county manager yesterday, and this has been a concern of all my staff and myself, is that we're very concerned about the safety of the citizens of Bernalillo County, and obviously all our deputies. And I'm telling them at this point, I don't believe at the rate we're getting these violent calls and all the volume of calls that have increased over the years, that we can no longer keep the citizens protected safely without adding to our staff. So we believe that the timing of the increase for the public safety tax is very important, and that we get the support for what we need to protect the citizens and the deputies to continue to be able to provide the best services for everybody in this room and everybody in the community.
It's not just your office. I mean, agencies around the state have seen more officer-involved shootings. What do you attribute that to?
Well, obviously, there's many reasons. That's a very complex question. I'd rather sit down with anyone one-on-one and have that discussion, but I don't think we can attribute to one thing. Obviously, being in law enforcement this long, we're looking at other strategies in order to address this, and I think we're coming up with very good strategies to be able to identify who our most violent offenders are. But I don't think we can put our finger on one single thing, and we would never ever blame anybody to be at fault for that. I think collectively we have to come up with a solution, and I think there's the right people are in place to make those decisions. But I don't think that's a question it's far too complex to answer at this press conference.
Is it fair to say you are responding to more violent calls?
Yes, and that's conducting and talking to our deputies, and just based on the sense I'm getting from them, they're telling me that what's going on here. So evidently today I just talked to one of my commanders, and they're telling me that there's a high volume for calls today. So I don't think this is just a trend. I think this is more of becoming a norm, which is very concerning for me being the sheriff.
Sheriff, last press conference, a reporter asked you about this, but I want to bring it up again because you keep going to the tapes and
yes.
What you hear in the tapes. Obviously, the tape is going to provide a valuable piece of evidence in
yes.
terms of figuring out what happened here. So why not take it a step further and supply your deputies with body cameras that not only capture audio but video?
I like you asked me that question, but I don't want to invest in that technology because it's not proven. I think where our really concern lies is in protecting the citizens and the people, is to provide us with what we need, and we need more staffing. So I'd rather invest in the personnel and invest in something that's actually gonna really protect you and protect every citizen versus something that's not proven. There's no evidence showing that body worn cameras work. And to me, it's a very ambiguous issue. And to me, I don't think there's anybody in this room can lay out an argument saying that they're proven. So I don't know what the real reasoning why this argument's being made or even asked. Until it can be proven and they're showing that value that it's gonna protect you and all the deputies in this county, then I'm all for it. But nobody's offered any empirical evidence that they work. So to me, what works is that team policing works. And it's been proven by the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Justice Affairs, excuse me if I get that wrong, BGA, but that the more deputies you have there, the chances of, or let's say officers, law enforcement officers, the chances of de-escalating go down. So what I'm asking is something that's very realistic and that works.
You said that the deputy was on proactive patrol. Can you explain a little bit what that means?
Proactive means that, you know, he heard an alarm. This is good old police work. Maybe not everybody would be paying attention, maybe having their window rolled down, maybe they have their radios too loud, maybe whether it be their police radios or maybe their own the radios they're listening to on air. But he was alarmed by what he heard. So that drove him to go look and investigate what was going on. He didn't get dispatched. It was self-initiated. He went there on his own experience, his own motivation, him being a hard worker, very motivated, very driven to do this job. He went there to find out what was going on, being curious. He identified there was people in that apartment complex. They gave him information that showed that that was a good gut feeling and a good thing to go do, and actually good police work. And he followed up on that, and it led him to finding this person that was very aggressive and that could probably be a very great harm to not only himself but to the public.
You can't tell us who this individual is, but can you tell us anything about them?
Like
any law enforcement history?
There are some things there, and I guess if I was starting to get too deep into maybe the history, which I don't think at this point is as important of, you know, maybe what actually occurred and the great outcome. I would probably wait till at least in honor of what the investigators told me, like, let's wait, let's release all this information about him, his criminal history, and the tapes, so it gives you a better picture that day of what happens and it doesn't compromise the investigation whatsoever.
What condition is the suspect in now?
It seems like he's in, his condition is that he's gonna recover, and I don't know whether it's critical or severe, but it seems that they said he should be making a recovery. So that's promising. Anything else?
Oh, anything you can tell us about the deputy, how long he's been to the force or anything like that?
Several years. I don't know, I can't give you specifically. He's not out of one of our last 2 or 3 academies that I'm for. So he has experience in the field services area. He's very highly motivated, very competent, highly skilled, highly trained, and I have all the confidence in the world that he does a great job out there every day, and he's out there to make a difference, and he does proactive work, and he has a great reputation. Also like to, if there's no other questions, I'd like to offer my condolences, I should really say my thoughts and prayers to the deputy to be able to go through these tough situations, and obviously to the speedy recovery of this offender, although he still is a member of our community, and that we hope his recovery is good, and that I really take my hats off to the deputies that rendered the aid, being neutral, knowing that one of their own might have been threatened, and that they're willing to be neutral and stay neutral and go out there and still give a great service to the community. So I'd like to thank my deputies.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.